Masih nggak? Serius? Anjing? Soalnya ada yang bilang aman, ada yang bilang enggak. Oke, kalau aman aman. Thank you. Gua nggak tahu mau main apa, bingung. Saya update chatnya nyangkut. Lupa gua gimana caranya. Habis restream. Ntar kayaknya nyala lagi deh. Diapain sih? Udah, join track terus klik tengahnya. Segampang itu, cuma gue lupa. Aduh, tai banget. Tai. Halo. Iyo. Gue belum tahu gue mau ngapain malam ini. Aku bingung. Apa yang harus gue lakuin sekarang? radio minggu gak ada jadwalnya. Jujur gua nggak tahu mau ngapain. Tok gua MHW. Cuma gak ada temen buat main MHW. Hentikan banget. Kayak vlog cucu rutut. Hah? Emang ada vlog anjing? Gak tahu Han, gue lupa video mana yang gua member, video mana yang gak gua member, video mana yang gua private, gue lupa semua. Jadi kalau nggak dapat berarti member. Kita main ini aja kali ya. Zong. The song? Yeah. I like that. I like that. Kita main orang gila. Ada gue lagi download. Gimana? Apa kabar kalian? Sisa 3 jam. Yanit lagi spring sale. Ada spring sale juga, gue bingung main apa. Itu juga jamnya juga tinggal dikit. Fate Samurai. Bagus asik. Itu mah gamenya game koi atau bandai semua anjing, dapat mah game anime. Devin beneran main salah sambungnya. Gokil. Oh, sorry, spoiler lagi gua. Video cucu rutut buat besok. My bad. Nggak, ini gue mau main game. Lagi download. Gimana Han? Lo nggak mau story emergency lagi sekarang? Hah? Mumpung lo punya waktu 2,5 jam lo. Emergency time lo 2,5 jam lo. Apa? Tapi Wan bilang story gue atau itu salah lo sendiri, goblok. Bener dah. Ntar kalau gue hilang dari Subathon udah kelar, kan nggak ada story gue lagi Han. Santai. Subathon gue kelar, lu story-nya kok nggak Norman si Devin. Nah, dua itu. Ya, Stella lah jarang-jarang. Ya. Ada, gue mau main game. Gue mau main namanya Stanley Parable. Udahlah, kita play aja lah. Wih, bisa Polski gua. Wybierz Sekarang i zejek najbliżej. No. Anyway, ini game lucu guys. Bukan game horor. Wah. 20 39 PM. Yang ultra deluxe. Ini game lucu guys, bukan game horor.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Stanley itu nama teman
Stanley
SD gua
worked for a
pertama.
company in a big building where he
Waktu
was
SD.
employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year.
Anjing kerjanya cuma mencet
Despite of
tombol
considered it
doang.
soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Setiap
And
hari.
then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a
Tiba-tiba nggak
meeting,
ada
or
nih.
even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Tiba-tiba nggak ada yang ngasih tahu nih, pencet J, pencet M, gitu. Oke. Tiba-tiba hilang. Oh, bentar. 4 mungkin. Nah, 2. Oke. Gue nomor berapa ya? 427. Nggak bisa gue buka. Tiba nggak ada orang cuy.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Diculik.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oke, ke meeting room.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Iya, sabar, namanya juga mencoba, anjing. Diculik kalian kali. Fuck. Can I see? Malah mati anjing. Halo? Anybody here?
Stanley clicked on every single door in the office because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment.
Tolong, tidak ada orang di kantor ini. Gue dapat achievement, no seriously. We disable it. Oke, berarti emang semua pintunya ditutup
When Stanley
anjing.
came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Gue disuruh ke kiri. Gue mau ke kanan.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Oke.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Sini. Tar dulu. Gue jadi menyesal tidak ke arah kiri tadi, anjing.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Oke. Do not lie. If you are lying right now, stop. Fuck, where am I?
Look, Stanley, but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good Lord. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Oke. Anjing tolol banget.
All his were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oke, ke kiri ya.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Boom.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Ke ruangan bos gua. How to solve a dispute with a coworker like. Everything you slide to assure employees that everything is okay. Make sure your slide has slick blue graphic in the header. Ini. Everyone is unique. You most of all. Anjay. What do you people want? Things? Money, more money, things, but with money to buy more things. Asik. Oke, ruangan bos gua kah? Ruangan bos. No.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
There really nothing. Ada ruangan rahasia kah? Oh. Satu-satunya ruangan yang...
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oke. Bos! Executive bathroom anjing. Money's in the morning, money's in the evening, money's for breakfast. Money creeps. Gua nggak ada pantulan reflection sama sekali anjing. Bos! Bos!
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Kan lu kasih tahu gua anjing.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. And easy. He stepped into
Anjing
the
nih Narrator ya, anjing lo. Memang diculik alien, percaya sama gua.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the
Mind
large
control
doorway.
facility.
Mind control facility.
What the fuck? Gue bisa langsung kelarin game ya. Escape! Escape here! Lari! Cuman game-nya gak bakal ngasih gue itu. I mean, bakal ngulang lagi, males.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
What the fuck? Ini semua monitor.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images.
Ini 427 nih.
And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Ya kan gua 427 kan? Nih. Oh, ada yang dipecat. Iya, dipecat.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Oh, dicuci otak gue di office ini.
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Okay. Gue harus ke ruangan power nih. Console disable. Hold on. Wow. Mind control idle. Waiting input. Di brainwash gue ya di sini.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Hey, gue disuruh off kan? Tamat dong.
Blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Ini layar atau what?
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen.
Nah, ini cuma ilusi doang kan?
Was happy.
Nggak, gue serius namatin anjing. Okay. I
All
need.
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Okay, I need to do
Stanley decided
something
to go to the
silly.
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
How about gua pencet on?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his coming to a
Gua bisa ke bawah
staircase.
juga.
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Gue bisa kesono.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
248.
What did it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley could, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Oh, gue bisa ke atas juga ya? Oh, nggak bisa. Karena nggak nyala.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read
Gue bisa ke sini juga.
Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Hey, I'm trying to find out.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Ah, shut up.
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Dia kalau sampai narator yang ngulang lagi terus sambil kayak gua ngulang lagi kayak ngomong sendiri gitu sih kocak anjing.
Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go. Turn the controls off and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system.
What?
In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next
Anjing, gak ngerti gua.
will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
Nambah semenit. Ditambahin waktunya.
Dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now?
Yeah.
Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing. These colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment.
Anjing lah ya.
But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't.
Goodbye, employee 427.
That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me,
No!
I will be laughing at every second.
I wanna die!
From the moment you fill in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
Did I die? Yes, of course I'm dead.
All of his co-workers were gone. What did it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Hai, gua ke
Stanley
kanan.
came to a set of 2 open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No. I'm going this way.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Siapa istri gua?
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
What the
That's
fuck?
her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a lunch?
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something.
Gue cuma jomblo
Let
anjing.
me show you what's really going on here.
Gue cuma jomblo bangsat.
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Alright. Okay. Alright, got it. Narrator.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Oke, ceritanya gue mati. Good morning, employee. No, gue gak mau pencet Z. How about I'm not gonna press it? Right? Lu akan marahin gue nggak? Gue bakal pencet semua tombol di keyboard kecuali Z. Gimana? Are you happy? No? Gak bisa keluar gua. Oke, Z.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Fuck.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown.
Berubah anjing.
Fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Anjing ya.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room.
Ini bakal jadi ruangan gue yang kayak pertama bukan?
And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself.
No, masa gua.
He won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Are you serious? Are you? Rizka gua pencet. No. Aturan ada untuk dilanggar, anjing.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried... All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
No, this is different, right?
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
What? No, this is different. Beda lagi. Anjing.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Oke, feeling gue ini balik lagi ke Dia balik ke meeting room.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
Fuck sake. Okay, no.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Sabar monyet. Tahu sabar nggak? Gue lupa lagi sekarang jamnya berapa ya. Anjing lah, ada yang tahu nggak? Terakhir jam berapa? Satu 5721.
Shut up. Jangan bohongin gua. Gua tahu berapa menitnya. Nggak mundurin streaming gua, anjing. Jangan ngomong gua ngulang lagi, tai. Hang on. Can I just say something? Thank you for auto-setting the clock both time you don't take a step seriously. They just leave the but you are taking the time to set the clock. I appreciate that. That's how I know that you care about this experience. You are paying attention. I don't even have any way knowing if the times you are setting is correct. Then tell you what, I'll make you just set the clock to your favorite time. Go ahead and pick whatever time. Beda lagi anjing. Even if it's not the correct time, you have earned it. Alright, I'll let you go back to the video game now. Fuck, gue ngulang
All of
lagi.
his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
Ah, terus suruh
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
sini kan.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. Down, right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
What the fuck? No, gue balik lagi ke sini maunya.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning.
What?
And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Anjing lo ya. Narrator tai. Udah gue nyalain esanya.
All of his co-workers were gone.
What the?
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley... Wait.
Oh,
Wait,
beda,
what?
beda.
No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Oh my god, gua gak tahu. Oh no. That's salah, kiri dulu. What the fuck?
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you, there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Wah, anjing, naratornya bangsat lo ya, ngulang-ngulang mulu, tai.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Ah, tai banget. Oh, what did you miss?
Aha! I knew we'd miss something.
Oh, beda.
The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Oke, balik lagi. Iya. Nah, beda lagi nih.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley?
Gak tahu.
Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time, I have to restart.
Emang anjing. Oke, sekarang dikasih jalur ya.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable adventure line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Sayut ya. Oke. Just follow the line. Aha.
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Oke, musik. Goblok.
Cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything. Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Oh, balik lagi ke sini. Terus gue disuruh restart nih ujung-ujungnya. Anjing ya. Anjing lo. Vale. Gua ngulangnya dari awal monyet ini. Oke. Jadi tadi gue cuma muter-muter doang.
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story?
Ya, kenapa kita nggak bikin
Exciting, daring, mysterious.
cerita kita sendiri?
This all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Oke.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story
Nah,
to
ini
be?
gue cuma muter doang,
Go on.
tai.
Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Oke.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute.
Oke.
Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So
Okay.
starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one.
Oke.
Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley.
Ke
Our
kanan
destiny.
nih. Terus
wait.
nih, pintu kanan nih. Oke.
Oh, hold up. What's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all
Fifth
one
restart.
giant ending?
6. 6.
And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just
The
supposed to
narrator
forget?
is gone after long story.
What if I don't
Stanley
want to forget?
dies. Tai banget.
My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it.
No,
I
lo kok
won't
nggak
do
restart?
it.
Gue
I won't
terjebak
do
di
it.
sini, anjing.
And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination, so I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you do...
Anjing di force restart gua.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ada yang main soliter no.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Oke. Live kah? Should I?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy.
Anjing gue cuma
And then
muter doang
something
looping.
occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I have to go back
itu
to
kan
my
mimpi,
boring
anjing.
real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
Lu
Now the
narator.
voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he
Oke.
invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one.
Lo pernah nggak sih mimpi terus lu tahu kalau lu itu di dalam mimpi?
I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is
Terus lu
normal.
langsung kayak imajinasi apa gitu.
Everything will be
Karena itu di
fine.
dalam mimpi.
I am okay.
Nope, itu bukan mimpi.
Stanley began to scream. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Oh, sekarang cewek.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk.
Gue jadi gila terus
Turned to
mati
go
gitu.
call for an ambulance. For just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Wah. I mean, just that. Gue baru aja
All of
mati.
his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
No, new content.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Konten baru goblok.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles
Yang gua
and
mainin
home
sekarang.
computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special.
Gua masih ada
yet,
satu
but I'm
ending yang
sure
belum
it's
gua
just the
dapetin.
beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Itu escape. Oh. What the?
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see. It's
Jump the
the
circle.
jump circle.
Wah. Kontennya begini, anjing. Gue udah kayak tikus percobaan di sini, anjing.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Thank you for enjoying the new content.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game?
No!
And we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Gue gak perlu ngomong juga. Lu balikin lagi, anjing. No, this is different now.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
Am I dead? No.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Narnia?
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back
betul.
then, it all meant something.
Betul.
Oh, the waste.
Di 2013 game-game bagus-bagus. British Academy Award. Debut game, game innovation, story. Sampai masuk New York Times, cu. New video game releasing today. Creator surprisingly down to earth. Is that the ending? Yeah, I got the ending.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim. It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Tapi ini beneran semua loh. Ini achievement yang mereka dapetin di game ini, which is great. Oh, ini cuman kayak ngasih lihat kontennya tuh tentang.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories. These were simpler times, Stanley, but I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
I don't know.
Oh no.
Let's check it, shall we?
Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's being collected down here.
Review di
Surely
Steam
these
kah?
reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Lihat. Nah, rekomend. Gue pikir lo bakal naruh yang positif-positif. Tapi ditaruhnya gue udah tahu. Honestly,
I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Funny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Oh my god.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Oh dear.
Dikasih tahu lagi yang nulis siapa. Noodle Shaft.
These black marks are my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley
It's okay, Narrator. Gak semua orang
remember.
bakal setuju sama lu kok. Percayalah. Lo gak bisa nge-please semua orang 100%. Right?
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
There, skip button.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable
I
is
love
a game
you.
for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go...
Shut up!
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45... Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is... Oh, Stanley, you're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time.
The problem is gue gak ada jalan
Yeah.
anjing.
Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you.
Udah 1
To begin
tahun
with,
loh.
there is
Nge-skipnya
only
1 tahun anjing.
There is only the turning wheel.
Pak, dia udah ngilang sekarang. Narrator? Are you dead? Hey! Hilang! I'm sorry! I'm sorry. Where are you? Please come back. Balik lagi.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain.
Gue denger air. Oh ini.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end,
Narrator tolol anjing.
is never.
Oke, udah apokalips kah? Aduh, udah tunggu lumut tau gak? What should I do? Should I just skip all the time? Wah, ini yang rusak. Oh, gue bisa keluar. Oke, ini yang rusak. Kita ke utara. What? Are you fucking kidding?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Gak ada kan ini sebelumnya?
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Oh yeah, it's different now.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark. and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Investor showcase.
Isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Bagus anjing, game seru.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it.
Okay.
I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Wah, new features. Okay. Hold on. Says the name of the player that is playing the game.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your
Pura-pura jadi
mind,
Jim gua.
forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
Jim.
Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Oke. Kita coba fitur yang lain nih.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature. A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of
Reassurance
reckless
bucket.
despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable reassurance bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2. Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
Okay, what is this?
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Infinite hole.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it... Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley.
Ngapain lo ngasih tahu gua, anjing?
To at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Okay.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
How about this? What is this?
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2,
ada
you'll run
collectibles.
around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Oh gitu, terus ada collectibles gitu dong. Hah? Collect them all.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic. All right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Yep. Is this the way?
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley?
I don't know.
This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Anjay.
This is the story of
Udah, tapi isinya sama tai.
all of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Title-nya
Stanley
doang.
decided to go to the meeting room.
No,
Perhaps
ada
he had
bucket
simply
ya.
missed a memo.
Jangan bilang ada achievement-nya juga. Collectibles-nya. Hold on.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Oh, pintunya udah ketutup.
Stanley picked up the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies.
Harusnya ada di sini.
Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket.
Okay.
I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now. but you
Ini
have to be
alasannya
strong.
kenapa ruangan
This is
ini
your
kebuka.
bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name call. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
So, what's the difference now?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Bucketnya anjing banget. Ada
The
satu
elevator raced
jalan
down,
yang pengen gue pergi.
plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest
Emang,
moment of uncertainty,
teman gue cuman
he would be all right.
Bucket
The
doang,
bucket is
ember.
here for you, Stanley. Everything
Temen gue tuh
will
cuma
be
ember
fine.
doang di hidup ini.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Nggak mau. Gue mau terus.
At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
No,
As
gue
the
mau
machine
digebeng.
whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This
Digebengin.
is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Tidak. Nggak jadi.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral
Untuk ngetahan.
instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death.
No, this is different.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
The bucket. Welcome you to the great experience. You are Stanley my best friend. Bucket.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him?
Infinite
Can
bucket.
you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Iya emang.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Oh my god. Oh. Gua kira gue jatuh.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him
No!
be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Oke.
Stanley clutched the bucket.
Kita nggak usah
tightly.
ini
This was not the
narator
correct
ya.
way to the meeting room.
Tai nih
But
narator
Stanley
ya.
had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Jadi Sandy
And here
keprek.
it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Gue lupa lagi jalannya yang mana ya. Sini bukan sih?
And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Oh, this is different.
Your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line?
No.
We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Fine, let's do it.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Aduh, balik lagi anjing musiknya tai.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
Okay.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the
bucketnya,
Stanley
no!
Parable. True, it also was not in the
gua.
original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket.
Gak jadi streaming fast mom. Kapan nih streaming fast mom? Sekalian ajakin Devin. Aduh, ini gue mati ya.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this.
Berisik, anjing!
Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Mesinnya meleduk anjing.
Destroyer. My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here.
Oh, temen gua cuman ember tai. Terus ngulang nih gue. Bisa? Emang anjing naratornya, suruh gue ngulang mulu, tai. Zong. Cuma 5 menit. No problem.
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
How about we Oh, ini beda lagi semuanya, cu. Gua ambil lagi nih.
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Kita belum ke ruangan CCTV ya?
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Gue lupa lagi yang cara dapetin confusing ending.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Teman seorang Hani nggak judi, nggak punya duit dia.
The bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly
apa lu dari 100.
Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raised...
Apaan sih lu kebanyakan idea atau ganti nickname sih anjing?
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket... But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly birds. The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hand,
Ah,
the one
bebek!
who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one
Burung hantu.
was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
And we back again. How lovely.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to
yang
his
terakhir.
chest and entered the door on his left.
I almost drive every single
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was coming to a staircase. Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Gue bisa masuk gak sih?
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows
Dapat
that-
collectibles ya!
So, I implore
I
you
knew
to
it,
say
pasti
that each and
ada.
every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him?
Udah prea.
This is certainly the most logical
Udah dibeli
explanation.
tadi. Udah telat loh. Itu dia punya ID banyak kan, tinggal diganti-ganti doang.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Enggak lah, masa sih? Gimana nggak ada yang bisa gantiin nickname sama profile
The
picture?
monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock.
Ada batas
Everyone in the
waktunya,
office
tai.
was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this... Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and...
No.
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place, not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms, not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room, but at least he has the bucket.
Aww.
To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I?
Gue bakal habisin.
Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Ngulang lagi, anjing.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes?
Udah beda narator yang ngomongnya.
Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
I mean, udah nggak ada new content loh. I mean, gue udah ngelewatin new contentnya. Basically kayak gitulah. Intinya kalau gua balikin judulnya The Sequel is now paused. Tai banget. Udah. Mau ngapain lagi? Dan ini juga sekarang tulisannya The Stanley Parable 2 anjing. Feeling gue sih never ending ya. I don't know. Ya. Udah mau jam 11 tapi nanggung. 40 menit lagi.
Tang lagu tetap minggu kan? Iya. Boleh.
I see, thank you udah join member. Sekarang gue mau ke WC dulu. Dari tadi belum ke WC gue. Bentar ya. Kebelet. Bosku satu. Real pisahkah ini? Nggak tahu, lihat aja. Ya guys, kita sudah melewati 7 bulan. Ngulang lagi anjing omongan gue yang kemarin. Regina, tai dapat 1,5 jam. Dapat 1,5 jam, dapat sejam. Kerja lo si Aizo goblok pakai prea uru kasih. Besok gua ini deh daripada kayak 3 jam forever.
50.000 dari Linda. Pesan, apakah jaya-jaya?
Zong, yeah. Ini besok gua promo deh sehari. Spin wheelnya 25.000 besok. Ramai apa gua? Aduh, jangan gitu. Takut gua serius dah. Bener ya, bener gua megang omongan gua. Gue megang omongan gue, tapi Tapi gak ada tapi deh. Ya besok gue pro. Daripada 3 jam kayak orang tolol gua. 3 jam mulu. Member gak, donate doang kayaknya. Nih, udah dikasih enak, minta lagi. Emang viewer tuh dikasih hati minta jantung anjing. Ya udahlah, nggak jadilah kalau kayak gini. Viewer banyak maunya. Apa lo? Jadi mau apa enggak? Hah? Lu mau terima tawaran gua apa batal nih? Deal or no deal? Gak serius, besok gua promoin 25.000 spin nih. Sehari doang. Ini gua masuk booby trap anjing. Ya siapa tahu kalau kalian behave, kalau kalian baik-baikin gua kayak bilang, ih Kak Anton hari ini ganteng banget, Kak Anton baik deh, Kak Anton cakep gitu. Mungkin gua bakal berbaik hati besok. Merinding gue ton dengan lah, gue tuh harus ego meter gue harus tinggi banget, tau kan? Gue juga punya ego meter, gue punya ego, tau gak? Kalau gue dibaik-baikin, Bang Anton kok tetap muda sih, kelihatannya nggak tua-tua gitu. Mungkin gue akan berbaik hati besok membernya gue promoin juga. Ya kan? Gue hanya menunggu kebaikan dari kalian aja memuji gue. Gue tuh manusia juga perlu dipuji kan. Sebagai seorang lelaki tuh ya, lelaki itu tuh paling suka dipuji, tau gak? Kalau wanita itu paling suka disayang, kalau lelaki itu pujian, tau gak? Pujian. Gak percaya dia. Cowok tuh gak begitu suka disayang-sayang, gak suka dimanja-manja, dia gak suka. Cowok tuh suka dipuji, kayak bilang, hari ini kamu cakep banget deh sayang, gitu. Tapi bajunya bagus deh sayang, gitu. Tuh cowok biasanya gitu. Jadi gue butuh ego meter gue. Gue besok mau kayak gitu. Kalau kalian gak baik-baik sama gue, nah promonya yang donate aja. Yang member gue gak mau. Soalnya gue tahu si Hadi tuh udah minta member buat di promoin biar dia dapat member gratis. Gue tahu ya kan. Jadi gue harus try hard. Gue harus mencoba. Ujung-ujungnya 4 jam lagi. By the way, thank you Reginald sama Ya besok gue promoin. Tapi gue live juga besok. Si Stella nggak jadi split fiction, udah nggak bisa dia, makanya dia nge-refund gamenya. Kan sedih kan gue. Temen gue siapa? Temen gue tuh cuma ember anjing, bucket. Sama. Sama, temen gue cuma bucket. Gak punya temen lagi gue. Itu kemarin mau main split fiction dia punya gamenya nggak? Kenapa refund? Karena dia kemarin dia bilang sakit. Habis itu dia bilang, ini kayaknya kalau gue sakit banget gue akan sampai ke rumah sakit tuh. Dia ngomong gitu. Lo punya game split fiction nggak? Well, mau bareng gua? Tapi saya cuma ada habis itu katanya dia kata Stella juga apa? Habis itu kalaupun dia udah nggak sakit minggu depan dia udah nggak ada waktu lagi katanya gitu. Terus katanya mau nggak gue refund aja, sorry ya Ton. Oh ya nggak apa-apa, gue mah orang yang sangat baik ya, gue sangat perhatian kepada wanita. Kalau dia sakit ya udah cepat sembuh ya Stella gitu. Gak sih, dia nggak ngomong gitu sih. Dia marahin gue perhatian dikit kek sama gue gitu, baru gue perhatian. Karena dia panjang lebar chatnya, gue coba bales ya. Lo mau lihat gue bales siapa? Tidih, dia panjang lebar deh. Ton, perut gue lagi nyeri banget kalau gitu. Terus gue balas ya, oke. Tai oke doang, gue refund ya, ngomong apa ke kayak orang marah. Oke, cepet sembuh ya Stella gitu. Oke. Dia chatnya jam 6. Gue balas ya jam 7:30. Terus dia bilang ngomong apa kek? Terus gue balas ya baru besok. Oke, cepat sembuh ya Stella gitu. Aduh, maaf ya Stella ya. Gitu. Coba gue tanya Welly ya. Welly balas gak? Welly belum balas. Oh ya, gue udah Discord si Welly. Udah ngomong sama Welly. Kalau dia bilang oke, mungkin gue sama dia. Oke. Gue orangnya maaf ya. Di video gue, ya, gue ngulang. Gak apa-apa kan ya? Gak apa-apa kan ya? Gak apa-apa kan ya? Kan juga baru awal-awal. Gak apa-apa kan ya? Gak apa-apa kan ya? Gak apa-apa kan ya? Gak apa-apa. Kemarin gue ngajakin Grace. Grace, lu mau nggak main sama gue? Terus dia bilang, gue udah ada partner ya Todd. Oke deh, partner gue cuman ember, mau apa? Gitu. Oke ya, oke. Nangis. Oh, temannya Stella. Oh iya, dia balas kok. Asik dibalas. Ya gue nggak balas lagi. Enggak deh, gue nggak dibales. Halo, dia bilang halo, salam kenal tuh. Lo terus gue balas. Lo dibales, kirain nggak bakal dibales. Terus nggak dibales lagi gue. Terus, saya nggak peduli. Terus, I don't know, I'm sorry. Beginilah hidup. Si Welly tuh nge-DM Discord gua ya. Isinya cuma nawarin alkohol anjing. Gua bisa apa tai? Dia tuh kurang ajar dia. Bisa kali Ton, hehehe. Terus kasih screenshot whiskey. Bisa kali Ton, terus ngasih screenshot whiskey. Bisa kali Ton, terus kasih screenshot whiskey. Anjing emang ini orang. Janco ini orang. Bisa kali Ton, terus dikasih whiskey gue. Gila-gila bagi dong. Biasa lah gue. Ya, gue tanya si Welly dulu ya. Kalau Welly oke, gue oke. Kalau Welly nggak bisa, ya gue nggak jadi. Gue nggak pengen teman lagi. Masa iya gue harus sampai story dicari teman buat main split fiction? Menyedihkan banget kayaknya gue ya. Sedih kan gue. Makanya kalian jangan hina gue guys. Jangan kata-katain gue, jangan ngejudge gue. Gue tuh orang yang sangat menyedihkan. Gue perlu dikasihani ya. Lihat, betting aja gak? Betting aja dia gak ngasih gue plus. Dia ngasih gue minus. Wah, 400.000. Gua kasih bintang. Kalian jangan lupa ketik jam. Asik. Gua tuh lagi baik banget. Betul. Kalian para alien, lompat, betul. Kalian emang harus memuja saya, lompat semua, puja saya. Baik banget emang Om Satu ini. Ih, baik banget. Emang gitu gue. Emang gue selalu baik. Hanya orang-orang yang dapet doang yang bilang gue baik. Lihat nih, pas mereka cek gold mereka terus gak nambah apa-apa, terus bilang gue, bang lagi bang, pelit banget sih si abang, masih gitu. Karena mereka tidak pernah puas sama diri mereka sendiri dengan ketidakkemampuannya mereka, tau gak? Terus dia mencari alasan supaya gue mau ngasih bansos lagi, kayak bilang delay, slow mode, dan seperti itu. Lihat aja. Wow, another 3 hours. Ya, seenggaknya nggak ada Keisha lah ya, kita jam. Si L juga udah sibuk bucin, ya kan? Dari dia baik banget sama gua sampai dia jahat banget, ngatain tai mulu ke gua, sampai dia punya pacar sekarang. Itu sahabat tahun gua tuh. Gokil. Lihat, kita melihat perkembangan jati dirinya dia loh di sini. Nah, sahabat tahun gua tuh membawa berkah untuk semua orang. Katanya set ending. Ya, mungkin dia set ending. Mungkin lagi galau kali dia sekarang ya. Lagi selimutan di dalam selimut sambil nangis. Negative thinking. Lagi netting-nettingnya, overthinking. Kayak Hani ya, dari bilang nonton gua gak suka gak mau pacaran dulu, sampai dia nemu seseorang yang dia suka, abis itu broken heart. Top 3 lu ranking 4. Sadar diri, aku top 1. Gue menang 2 kali ya. Habis itu 4 juta deh. Hah. Lo lihat, gue menang 2 kali, gue 4 juta. Easy. It's okay, tinggal didobelin, ya kan? Ini cara main gua, 100.000. Terus kita spend 200. Gua ngeluarin 300.000, tapi gua dapat 400.000. Tetep gua untung 100.000. Minus? Oke. Berarti gua harus bet 400.000. Ya kan? kali black 3 kali ya nggak sih? 4 kali. Nah, berarti gue udah spend 700.000 tapi gue dapet 800.000. $400, 200 sama 100 sih ya. Betul. Perhitungan gue selalu seperti itu. Ya kan lu bisa mulainya dari 10.000, gak harus 100.000. Duit lu kan ada 400.000 apa 500.000 tuh. Banyak. Memulainya tinggal ceban. Kalau 400, gila blacknya. Blacknya 4 kali, cok. Wow. Wow, blacknya 4 kali. Udah ngabisin berapa nih? Udah ngabisin 1,5 juta. It's okay. I can thank you udah join member. Yeay! Pasti dapet anjing. Bet, balik lagi kalau udah dapet. Dapat itu jelas-jelas red ya di gua. Itu jelas-jelas red loh di gua. Penipuan. Gak suka. Gak mau. Gak suka. Cek dulu. Anjing, udah mau 4 juta gua. Hilang 1,5. Anjing, black lagi. Nggak. Ini penipuan masa emang terlalu rakus. Gak boleh. Ini tahu waktunya untuk berhenti itu adalah penjundihan dah. Oke, gue tahu, gue gak kayak seseorang kayak Hani yang dia masih bakal hajar terus. Nah, udah stop. Gue tahu waktunya untuk berhenti. Dah. Sampai ketemu besok. Besok gue promo. Serius, gue memegang janji gue. Oke. Makasih. Besok sampai sahur ya janji? Oh enggak. Oh tidak. Tapi besok gue live. Masih nahan-nahan ngebet. Cancel apa ya? Gue matiin aja langsung ya stream avatar ya, biar si Ani minus, biar hilang. Matiin gak ya? Matiin gak ya? Ada gua juga, lo kan duitnya banyak, tai. Ditungguin juga minus, tai.